Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures, Daily Dose of Nature. Today's topic, sharks, misunderstood heroes of our oceans, presented by NatHab Expedition Leader Eric Ramirez. I'm your host, Rob Mess. Thank you all so much for being here today. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you so much for that incredible presentation, Rob. You're fantastic. So, hello, audience. My name is Eric Ramirez, and I'm from Mexico. I'm living currently in La Paz, Baja California Sur, and right now I'm going to present for you this incredible topic that I like to talk about when I'm guiding, especially if I'm guiding track trips. But I'm going to start with this. What if you came from outer space and you decided to make a documentary or let's say, a movie about humans, and the only shots that you have are close-ups shots of humans eating? You will also make a movie or a documentary called Jaws, right? Yes. So we understand that we, as humans, more than just eating, right? We have different habits. We write cards. We laugh, we create different social network with people. So sharks are also something different that just feeding machines that social media tries to portray. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of me. I'm Eric Ramirez, and when I was a kid, I was 14, I was my first encounter with the ocean. I was about to drown. And instead of just have this fear to the ocean, for me that was incredible, and I really wanted to just know about the mysteries of the ocean. And so when I was 18, I decided to switch to another city and to study marine biology. So I have a degree in marine biology, and when I was in college, I used to work with sharks. And then when I graduated, I started to work as a genetic technician. And in 2018, I discovered myself huge potential to guide trips because I'm very passionate about nature, but also I love to spread information, good information, accurate information. So since then, I started to work as a water guide, and I've been guiding trips here in Baja to different islands, swimming with whale sharks, swimming with different species of fish, and also with sea lions. But in 2022, I joined the big family of Natural Habitat to guide trips to the highlands of Mexico, the monarch trips, but also I had the opportunity to guide the whale shark trip in the south part of Mexico. So about my experience with sharks when I was in college, as I mentioned it before, I did my social service and also my practices in an institute here in La Paz. And my work was to analyze stomach content of two different species of sharks, the silky shark and also the smoothed hammerhead shark. So basically for me, it was like a CSI scientist. We used to go to fishery camps to collect samples from different species, including the stomachs, different tissues like muscle, like the reproductive system as well. And we took everything to the lab to analyze there. So when I was in the lab, I used to open up all the stomach to see what was the last meal of our sharks. For which reason? Basically to describe the diet. So when I was in this journey, I realized with more investigation that sharks are not these killer machines that can eat everything. To be honest, sharks are more specialized creatures that feed upon different species, but not on everything. So I want to ask you this question, and today I'm going to change the rules of the game. You're going to be my guinea pigs today, and I want to ask you this and ask a couple of questions. So if you can help me out typing down your answer, so Rob can read me the answer, that would be great. So first question, which animal would you consider more dangerous? So this is your time. Tap on your answer, and Rob is going to help me out with the answers.
All right. Well, so far, most of our answers are reflecting dog, a couple of elk, and a couple of deer, but the dog is actually getting the most votes, most answers.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. So I guess that you've been reading so much right now. So exactly, dogs are considered are more dangerous. According to statistics and numbers, dogs kill between 30 and 32,000 people in a year. Deers 200 and sharks only 10. But come on, if I show you this picture, people are going to be more afraid of this shark because they have sharp teeth and they look pretty intimidating, right? So I'm going to continue with the next question. Which animal is not a shark? Okay. If you can help me out, type in the letter of the animal that you consider not a shark, please. I'm listening.
All right. We've got 1C, 1B, 1D, 1E, and there's an A.
It's an A. Okay. Good.
There's another E, another D, another E, C, A, B, C. We are getting all sorts of answers here. It looks like C seems to be the highest vote.
The highest, right? Okay, thank you, Rob, and thank you, audience, for that incredible activity. So the answer is all of them are sharks. Yes, believe it or not, sharks have so many different shapes and colors because sharks have been living the last 450 million years. That means that throughout this time, they've been developing different characteristics, different colors, different strategies. They've been conquering different places. So I will start to break some myths in this presentation with this. Sharks are the same. Sharks are following the same body corporal plan like let's say, the great white shark body plan. So as you can see, they're not following these shapes. So even though we don't consider sharks as a super mega diverse group because more than 500 different species have been discovered, and they have different colors, they have different shapes, and they have different strategies. So now I'm going to talk more about sharks. Sharks and relatives. Sharks are fish, and they belong to this group Elasmobranchi. And this group is comprising sharks, rays, and skates. And the main characteristic that they share in common is the skeleton. They don't have this body skeleton that the regular fish have. Instead, they have cartilage. Yes, the tissue that we have in our noses and our ears. So this is the original body plan of a shark. We have this beautiful great white shark. And as you can see, sharks, they have torpedo-like shape, and because they're very hydrodynamic, and they have the dorsal fin on the top, they have two pectoral fin, they have a tail, and they have this jaw. So another characteristics that the sharks have only are this. If you see the small little dots on the snout, these knots are ampulla lorenzini. I'm going to talk about this in the next slides, but I'm just going to tell you that this ampulla lorenzini are helping the sharks to detect the electric pulse of other living creatures. Then we have, as I said before, the skeleton is made out of cartilage. Yeah. So all the fish have different types of scales. And in the case of the sharks, they have placoid scales or dermal denticles. So according to the records, the teeth evolved to produce scales that are covering the shark. Yes, it sounds crazy, but this is a fact. So these scales are one upon the other and then orientated from the head to the tail. Why? For two main reasons. If you were able to touch a shark, of course, I'm not encouraging you at all to touch a shark, but if you have the chance and you pass the hand from the head to the tail, it's going to be smooth as a silk. Why? Because this ability makes it more hydrodynamic. But if you touch a shark from the tail to the head, it's going to be rough like a sandpaper. that gives in an extra protection to another predators, another shark's attacks, for example. So all the fish, they have started to be more buoyant than the rest of the animals. In the case of the bony fish, they have the natatory bladder, which is an organ that stores gas, okay, to be more buoyant or less buoyant. In the case of the sharks, they have a liver that secretes more or less oil that is going to make a shark less or more dense. So again, fish, they have gills. In the case of the bony fish, they have only one gill slit, but in the case of the sharks, they have between 5 and 7 gill slits. Okay, I'm going to talk about shark senses. So we have this beautiful tiger shark, and sharks, they have electric perception. So remember about the Ampolla lawrencini? All the sharks, they have these cells on the snout of the head. Touch. Sharks, including also fish, they have a lateral line that runs from the end of the gill slits and runs through the tail. The smell, sharks have here, well, if you can see here, 2 nostrils that allows them to smell, to detect the chemicals in the water. About hearing, even though sharks have no external ears, they have internal ears that help them out to listen, to hear what's going on in the ocean. And about the eyes, sharks have 2 eyes located in the sides of the head. And the last, the taste. Even though sharks have no tongue, they have some scientists believe that they have some body taste close by the mouth, so they can, when they bite the prey, they can actually taste what they're eating. So about Ampolla lawrencini, wait, what is that? I know that it sounds not so familiar, but it's pretty easy to understand. There are these little dots that there are underneath the scales, and they have these pores, and when they are close by the bottom, or when there's another animal nearby, they can the electric pulse that the animals are emitting runs through the inner part of this pore, and that runs through the brain through these nerve fibers, giving the shark the sense of like something is there. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this would work in the case of the hammerhead sharks. So hammerheads, they are normally, well, the great hammerhead shark is normally dwelling. It's normally like like a metal detector trying to uncover the prey that are underneath the sand. So about the touch and lateral line, as I said before, they have this visible line over here, and this line has multiple pores, and these pores are connected by a channel that runs through different sensory cells, and these pores are detecting the difference in pressure. What does it mean? That means that they can detect the water displacement. So I don't know if you saw before a group of sludge full of fish, and they are apparently like very close by, and if one turns to one side, the rest are following it. So sometimes we believe that they're not touching themselves. So why? Because they have this quick response. They can feel everything that's close by. Smell, as I said before, they have 2 nostrils, and we're gonna break another myth here. So people believe that sharks can smell a drop of blood in a mile. That's not true. Actually, scientists discovered that they have a very honed sense of smell, but they can only detect 1 drop of blood in the equivalent of the water that is in an Olympic pool. I mean, still, it's a lot of, it's a very honed sense, right? About hearing, sharks can hear sounds of frequency between 30 and 300 hertz. Just to give you an example, humans, we can hear frequencies between 45 and 20,000 hertz. But I know that it doesn't sound pretty impressive, but with this range, they can detect wounded prey in the water. So about the eyes, I think this is really important for the sharks, because if they are blind, that means that they won't be able to hunt properly. So the eyes are really fascinating, because as you can see in this photo, we have different parts of the eye, but we have this tapetum lucidum. It's just a layer that some organisms and animals, including predators like dogs, like felines and other organisms have. And this layer has some type of crystals that are concentrating the light. So that means that they're really good in dark areas. So right now in the GIF, you can see how like a type of membrane is covering the eye. So sharks, they have the ability to close the eye, with an eyelid. So very few species, they don't have this eyelid, like a great white. So when the great white is lurking in the water, when it's about to hit the sea lion on top of the surface, what they do to protect their eyes is they put the eyes backward. To avoid a pinch, to avoid potential dangers to their eyes. So about reproduction, sharks, they have very unique life traits. That means that they have a long lifespan. They produce very few youngs. Also, they reach the sense of maturity very late, and they have long gestation periods. And for example, what I put here, a couple of examples of the animals that have like the extremist, let's say, traits that I mentioned before. In the case of the big-eyed treasure shark, the one on top, it can only give birth to pups. In the case of the middle one, the Greenland shark can reach the sexual maturity at the age of 150 years. That's a lot. And scientists believe that they can live up 400 years. So, and in the last position, we have the green-eye spoo dogfish. This one has the longest gestation period with 31 months. Okay, about how do they give birth? We have three different strategies. We have oviparity, ovoviparity, and then we have a placental viparity. Oviparity means that the eggs, the females, they lay the eggs on the bottom of the ocean. These egg shells are commonly known as mermaid purses because they're super beautiful and they have these small little cordons that are attached to the bottom. So this yellowish thing that we are seeing right now is the elk yolk. So they have their own store fat. They have their own, let's say, lunch. So as soon as they're ready, the eggshell breaks and releasing the shark. And then we have ovoviparity. The females store the eggs inside, and once they're ready, the babies are going to hatch, but they'll continue growing until they're ready, and then the female just will give them birth. And a placental viparity, this is more like a mammals. The fetus are going to live inside, and as soon as they're ready, the female gives them birth. But in this case, they don't have the placenta like mammals. What about shark habits? Well, sharks are cosmopolitan species. That means that they inhabit all the edges of the world. So we have sharks living in deep ocean, like the green lantern shark. So this is very interesting because creatures in a very, very deep areas, they can either have big eyes or no eyes. So in the case of the coral reefs, we will find many, many different species of sharks feeding on different species and controlling, obviously, the populations of the fishes. I'm going to talk about this in the next slide. And mangrove, yes, we can also find some sharks in mangrove, mostly young sharks, like this lemon shark. The females, they tend to go to the mangroves to give birth because the roots, the underwater roots of the mangroves are kind of protecting the babies from other predators. This is not a strategy that only the sharks are following. Also, different species of fish go there to give birth or lay down the eggs. And then we have, again, our favorite shark, the Greenland shark, who can inhabit in Arctic cold waters. So just for the record, sharks are considered as cold-blooded animals, but some sharks, they have developed different strategies to inhabit in these very aggressive places. So what about shark food behaviors? We need to say that sharks, they're all predators. And sharks feed on different prey, and all depends on the place where they live. I was looking for some pictures to show you, but I think this is even better because GIFs are just more interactive. So we have here different strategies with sawfish shark. So as you can see, the sawfish has a very long snout that is more like a chainsaw-like form. And basically what you're seeing is the shark is just hitting the prey, just like spreading all the animal to finally feed on the floor. So for the record, these animals are bottom feeders. So then we have the treasure shark. They have the longest tail in the shark group, and what they do is they swim towards the school of fish, and they use the tail as a whip to stun their prey, and they just eat the stunned prey. That's something incredible to believe. And then again, we have hammerhead shark. As you can see, it's following a ray. Before it was detecting all the electric fields on the bottom, and then we have obviously our whale sharks. And whale sharks are considered as filtered feeders. They feed on plankton and small little prey. So this is just fantastic. I'm gonna break the third myth. Sharks eat everything. As you can see, sharks, they're specialized in different organisms. When I was said before, when I was working with sharks, I realized through investigations that sharks, they can either be generalistic or specialistic species. That means that they eat very few items. But what is the important role in the ecosystem? So to make it more easy, sharks control populations of other organisms, create a sense of healthiness in the environment. That means that they remove the ill organisms or the old organisms, and they control the populations of other species. What happened, for example, if we remove sharks from the ocean? Well, I will show you in the next slide. So food webs. I told you before that sharks are considered as top predators or apex predators, and behind we have the mackerel, which are the mesopredators, and then we have herring and crustaceans who are primary consumers, and then we have on the bottom the primary producers. So this is something, the possible scenarios that we will have if we remove these the organisms of this pyramid. So what happened, for example, if we decided to move the primary producers? That means that the populations of the primary consumers are going to decline, and then with lack of the primary producers, the mesopredators are going to decline as well, and this is going to affect also the top predators population. But what happened, for example, if we decided to move the sharks from the top, like this, top down? That means that the mesopredators are going to increase their population, and then the primary producers are going to reduce their population, and then the primary producers are going to increase their population. But what happened, for example, if we remove the mesopredators, so the top predators are going to reduce their populations because there won't be food for them available, and the primary consumers are going to increase their population, and the primary producers are going to decrease their population. Okay, I think it might be a little bit complicated, but you get the point, right? So if we remove this key organisms, we will have imbalance in the ecosystem. And wow, this is just the main topic of this conversation. And why we are afraid? That's the most common question. And for example, when I'm guiding trips, and I have also co-guides watching this webinar, and they won't let me lie that many of our guests are concerned about sharks, and this is something that they ask us, like, this is just the first question. They ask us, like, are there sharks here? Well, the answer of why we are afraid, it's because this is scientific proven. Humans are afraid to die by shark attacks because they consider this as a common way to die. That's a fact. Another thing is that the shark, it's very deep rooted in our heads that sharks are dangerous organisms. And also our brains, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm going to try to explain this on my words. Our brains are taking decisions first with feelings and then with thoughts. Why? Because this is just a very ancient way to respond to different scenarios. We can either run or fight. So this is very interesting because when we also use heuristics to take decisions. And heuristics means that we tend to grab the fresher information that we have and something that for us it's something like it's a fact, for example. So what happened, for example, if I mention the word shark, immediately you will relate this to something dangerous because our brains tends to be lazy. Why? Because they want to spend less energy thinking. And no matter how much time are you waiting on the shore, trying to figure out if the ocean is safe or not, and in this case, the idea that sharks are dangerous is not going to vanish just like this. So who gave us the idea? Who planted in our brains the idea that sharks are dangerous? This, Hollywood. So the tipping point started with Jaws. In 1975, Steven Spielberg thought that, well, it would be nice to have this horror movie where bloodthirsty shark is killing everyone. The problem is that people believe in this. We believe that sharks are dangerous and that they're hunting in our worst nightmares. So Hollywood movies are responsible for giving them a bad reputation. And after us, the filmmakers realized that they learned that the Jaws factor is really good for the industry, creating more and more and more movies. And like this, come on, Sharknado, like a tornado full of sharks like coming from the sky, eating people. And then look at this jewel, Sharktopus. They create an animal, a mixture between the shark and octopus. And then I don't need to explain anything about sky sharks. Like seriously, sharks that are in the sky just with weapons. I mean, our imagination went too far. So I stumbled upon with this beautiful piece of art. Luciano Razia, he did a survey and he collected all the horror movies that are portraying different animals from the 50s till the 2000s to see, for example, which animal has more spotlight in this industry. So with this, he realized that sharks have more horror movies, and then we have the crocodiles, and then we have dinosaurs, and then we have dogs, cats, bears, rats, and also we have snakes. So with this graphic, this is something beautiful. When Luciano graphicked the amount of people that are killed per year with the films that have been launched through this period of time. And as you can see, sharks, they have 80 movies, but almost like only 10 kills, as I said before. But what about mosquitoes? 1 million people die by mosquito bite, and we have no movies. And what about crocodiles? What about snakes? So with this, you can imagine why sharks have this bad reputation. So what's the real problem that we're facing now? The real problem is that due all the life traits that I've mentioned before, the long lifespan, the few youngs that they have per year, the long gestation period, and also the late sexual maturity. If you combine these traits with the with overfishing, obviously, as a result, you have that 90% of the species are in critical danger. But why people are killing some sharks? So the main reason is there's a huge demand of fins in Asia and Asian markets. people believe that if you eat this shark fin soup, it'll bring you vigorosity and it's going to be like a medicine for you. But that statement has not proven yet. And also, like, all the companies like big vessels are killing so many sharks, and they have this practice that is illegal in different countries. They call it finning. So basically, they're cutting off the fins of the sharks, and they are discarding the rest, leaving alive sharks to the ocean, and the sharks are still alive, and they're sometimes eaten by other organisms. And obviously, sharks are killed by catch. When they place these nets to catch different organisms, sharks are just looking for prey, and they are just getting tangled in these nets. And these are the main reasons why the shark populations are dropping dramatically. So another reasons are the contamination. So scientists estimate that in 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the water. That's a very scary fact, right? So plastics, they turn down in the water to the action of water and the light, and then we have microplastics. So when I was doing my research with shark content, I also took a lot of samples of nets, of plastic, the tops of the water bottles, and the problem is that these pollutants that the plastic have are going straight to the animals, disrupting different systems. And as soon as we eat this, as soon as we eat the sharks or the fish, the big ones that tend to accumulate these pollutants, we can also put in risk the human health. Again, habitat loss, the human settlements next to the shore, the sewage waters, the farming chemicals that we're dropping to the ocean are killing different organisms, creating an imbalance in the ecosystem. And of course, with the global warming, when the water turns really warm, as a matter of fact, this year, scientists prevent to have one of the toughest El Nino phenomenon. So that means that the water is going to be more warm. The coral gets really stressed and it tends to bleach. So if the coral is bleached, many different species are going to disappear, including our precious sharks. So these are facts. Sharks, more than 100 million sharks are killed in a year versus only 10 people. So this is another myth that we're going to break. Sharks have no predators and they are mud eaters. So as you can see with the statistics, they are not mud eaters at all, right? And about sharks have no predators, yes, they have predators, and the predators are us and also killer whales. But you know what? The good ones are more. We are more people who are concerned about sharks. So these are some few organizations, some labs, they're working together to conserve and preserve, to also investigate more, to do more research about the sharks. And of course, we have our partnership WWF here. And then this organization has been working side by side with Traffic, also with Shark Trust, with Shark Advocates International, and IUCN, Shark Specialist Group. And this one, Pelagios Kakunja, is based in La Paz, and I was able to help up, and also I have some good friends of mine who have been working with this organization, and they've been growing so much, and they're creating a big sense of awareness in La Paz, and they have many projects, and for me that's something incredible that many people are getting more involved in shark conservation. So about WWF, WWF is very close to these projects. As a matter of fact, it has presence in 25 different countries around the globe, and they're working with different organizations to conserve and preserve sharks. For example, in Mexico, they have this special program to responsible shark ecotourism. And in other countries, what they're doing is they're very close to the responsible management, the responsible trade, and responsible consumption. We know that it's a very hard topic, and it's not easy to to fix this problem, because we need to involve different organizations like us, visitors, organizations like this, governments, and scientists as well. But I'm going to tell you a few alternatives of this problem. And one of this is ecotourism. Ecotourism has been proven to be a very important alternative to this problem, because people are telling the local fishermen that it's more valuable to have a shark alive rather than a dead shark. And this is fascinating because more and more people, it's like a ripple effect, more people are more aware of this, and people are traveling to different places to have these beautiful encounters. Just, it's important to have ethical practices. It's important to respect the sharks, because again, we cannot forget that sharks are predators and we are just visitors. So a great example of what we have been doing here in Baja, it's Cabo Pulmo. Cabo Pulmo in the 80s, 70s was a really important fishery camp. And if you Google Cabo Pulmo, you will see how many the fishermen, they used to caught huge groupers, huge sharks, and many things. But little by little, this environment was degraded. More and more organisms in the water, of course, including sharks. A lot of people from all over the world, they like to be to this place, come to this place to dive with bull sharks. And this is a very unique experience. So I'm going to share to you my personal experience as a whale shark guide, but also as a tourist. I remember when I went to Cabo San Lucas to have this interaction with sharks, and I was a little bit afraid too, because it was my first encounter with a shark. But then when I jumped to the water and I was face to face with this beautiful shark, I realized that like all my thoughts just vanished. I said, you know what? This is a very impressive creature, and I can only feel respect and love for this misunderstood fish. And they're not these killer machines that we thought. So right now I'm going to play for you this beautiful video that I took a couple of years ago. So we have here a couple of, well, we have in total 11 silky sharks, and they're just very curious. They're checking us, and you can see how a person is swimming next to the shark. That person is respecting the shark space, and the sharks are just like swimming around. We keep eye contact, and this is very lovely, because when I show this to people, it's like, wow, I thought that they were like these bloodthirsty animals that they, as soon as you get into the water, they will try to bite you. But as you can see, they're not. They're more than that. So I'm gonna also show you another video. This is just phenomenal. So normally I use this to show my guests. This is the whale shark. This is material that I use when I'm guiding. And sharks, when they're feeding, when they find a large amount of plankton, what they do is to spend less energy. They tend to be in vertical position, and that would just suck up the water. But I'm not going to tell you more. You need to see this. So around the whale shark, we have multiple sardines, and it's a bit murky due to the large amount of plankton that we have there. So this is just so beautiful. And as you can see, people are not lying when they call them the gentle giants of the sea. Just for you, for the record, whale sharks are considered as the largest fish in the world. So just to finish this incredible webinar, I want to ask you this: what can we do to mitigate the problem? First, we need to sensitize ourselves. We need to understand and recognize that there's a problem. And shark populations have been depleting through the years, and we need to do something to prevent this. And also, we need to share information. Sharing accurate information, that's the most important, because it feels now that social media, in social media, we are sharing different things. Like the other day, I was checking a video that someone sent it to me, and it was a shark attack in a place. And with these videos, like with these videos, we are creating a ripple effect where more and more people are afraid about sharks. But again, they are predators. Something like this could happen, but this is not often if you consider the amount of people that we have in the world. So share accurate information is the best. Again, learn. When we learn about sharks, and this has been proven, scientists believe that when we learn more about something that we completely unknown, our levels of anxiety drop down. So this is something that helps us out to feel more comfortable when we go to the ocean. Educate ourselves is also really important, and also has been proven that if we are exposing kids in the early stages, and we tell them that sharks are not this killing machine, we will cut off this this line that we have been feeding back the last years about the sharks being considered as dangerous animals. And at the end, we can also support the programs. We can also support NGOs. We can also support local economies. We can also travel to different places to visit these beautiful places where you can actually swim with sharks. And little by little, I think with this, we can go backwards to see, okay, we're gonna fix the problem about sharks being portrayed as the dangerous organisms, and then in the future, we can create a better world for both of species, humans and sharks. So for me, that was everything. Thank you so much for to attend this presentation. I'm super happy that we're here, and I'm here for you if you have some questions.
All right, thank you so much, Eric. Now, before we start in with the question and answer session, I would like to remind everyone that you can submit your questions via the question field in your control panel. So, Eric, what is their relationship to dinosaurs?
Well, there's not relationship. Actually, people believe that dinosaurs were more related to reptiles, but that's not true. Dinosaurs is just a different group. They are like completely different organisms. But we need to say something. When the dinosaurs were vanished, the only organism, well, some of organisms who survived were the sharks. So that makes the sharks cooler than dinosaurs.
That's good to know. So how are shark eggs fertilized?
Well, they have internal fertilization. This is really interesting to mention. Sharks, the males they have, well, I want to show you with this. So here we have the pelvic fins. So if we see only a hole, that means that it's a female. But if we have like two such like appendices, those are the claspers, those are males. So if the sharks are mating, one
your volume just went down just a second there.
Okay, so we have these two appendix, and one gets inside of the female, and one gets out, and the one that is inside is fertilized in the egg. That's how the eggs are fertilized.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that. So with ocean temperatures increasing, can you talk about what impact that will have for the sharks?
Sorry, can you repeat me the question?
With ocean temperatures increasing, how will that impact sharks?
Okay, if we return to our food web, for example, the organisms are on the very bottom of the pyramid. They will suffer the consequences of this. Like, for example, the coral that is storing so much life in the water. So if the temperature raise, some animals cannot tolerate these super warm temperatures, they will vanish. And if we don't have the animals that are the prey of the sharks also will perish, and they will no longer exist in that specific environment.
Gotcha, thank you. Is shark fin hunting still allowed? Are people still hunting shark?
Yes, it is allowed, and in many countries, cleaning is completely banned. In other countries, it's still like ongoing. And for example, when I was in college, I used to go to these fishery camps. And when I was talking with the local fishermen, they said, okay, you know what, we eat everything, but first we need to remove the fins because the fins are really valued, and the fins are really valued depending on the species. So yes, it's still, and this is something that we can do something, just rejecting this. If they, I think it's just demand and offer. If we refuse to eat shark fin soup, I think in the future people will understand that, okay, we don't have to hunting for that.
Great, thank you. Can you talk about why, when a shark has killed a person, why it must be captured and killed?
Yeah, this is very interesting because when we're underwater and a shark is approaching to us, in the water, this is just my belief that we can either act as a prey or as a predator. So like some sharks, for example, they size between like 2 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet. So in the water, we still like almost their size. So if we have a prey behavior, they will believe that we might hurt, and we are easy prey for them. So for example, when I'm struggling with sharks, what we tell the people is that don't act as a prey, keep eye contact. Don't shake your hands like this because the sharks will interpret it like your hands are like a lure or something like that. So the best recommendation is to stay calm, to swim away from the shark if you have the option, and don't act like a prey, of course. And again, when they bite, there are many well, not many. There are some shark attack reported, but not all of them are deadly, because when they bite us, remember about the ones, the sharks, they just spit it out because for them we are not tasty.
Gotcha, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So has anyone put a tracker on a Greenland shark or any sharks?
Oof. I don't know in Greenland, but in other sharks, this is very common. Normally they tag with satellite type tags, or sometimes we call spaghetti tags. These are very cheap, and scientists tag these sharks to track the migratory patterns. This is important to mention. Some species are highly migratory. For example, here in Baja in 2011, a whale shark was tagged, and they recovered the tag, or well, they tracked the shark in 6 months in Philippines. So this shark travels from one side of the Pacific Ocean to the other one. So these sophisticated tools are helping us to understand where are they going when they're not in the specific place.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible to do aquaculture or aqua farming with sharks to help mitigate the problem with the fin demands, or to help repopulate the ecosystem?
It is very difficult because the live traits are not helping us so much, because I mean we're talking about they have long lifespan and they reach sexual maturity very late. So the so I don't know if people are doing aquaculture with sharks. What I know is that they're doing aquaculture with freshwater sharks. They call it freshwater sharks, but they're actually a fish. Yeah.
So how do we know that a shark can live to 400 years and can reach sexual maturity at 150?
It's very interesting because if we have the spine, okay, normally the vertebrae, they have different rings, like the trees, for example. So each ring is going to, like scientists have a methodology to measure the distance between the rings, and with different techniques, they can recognize that, okay, like this shark might have 10 years or 20 years or 400 years. So they use the birth device to know the age of the sharks.
Wow, that's really interesting. Thank you for that. Well, that's going to be the last question that we do have for today. So I'm going to throw it back to you for any closing comments you might have for us today.
Yeah, so I just want to tell you that it is important to believe, it's important to think that we are not alone in this world. Life is surrounding us wherever we go. So instead of just try to eliminate something that scares us, it's important to be more empathetic to these creatures, to know more about them, to create a sense of awareness, and at the end, just have a very harmonious place to live.
Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to present for us today. And
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I'd also like to thank everyone who tuned in today. Now, if you're interested in information on how you can travel with NatHab, give us a call at the number on your screen, or you can send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are happy to help you out. Join us tomorrow for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including our registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.